the investigation, a very disturbing investigation. He outlines the main details.
Essentially, this is a proposal that was put together by a senior and rather obscure British military veteran called Hugh Ward at the request of an individual named Chris Donnelly. At his request, but on behalf of Audrius Butkevičius, who was, as you say, the former Lithuanian defense minister, and since then has been involved in all sorts of rather dubious activities like funneling vast amounts of weaponry from Bulgaria to Ukraine. And yes, these are very, very detailed proposals spelling out exactly where to strike the bridge, how it can be achieved either through cruise missiles or via a team of elite scuba divers armed with particular incendiary devices, or indeed underwater drones.
The attack never happened in the way that was outlined in this plan that you've been exposed to, that you got your hands on. Why do you think that is?
Yes, it differed in executional terms to what actually unfolded. The horror that unfolded on October 8th was different. But rather curiously, in the hours, within mere hours of the bombing on October 8th, a commemorative postage stamp immortalizing the event was released in Ukraine. Now, that postage stamp depicts 2 explosions in the exact spots that Hugh Ward identified as targets.
One of the Ukrainian ministers from the Rada, he said in the wake of the Kerch Bridge bombing, he said, this is just the beginning. Do you think there are other potential plans that have been drawn up by various intel communities?
This wasn't meant to be a one-off. This was only meant to be the beginning of a wide-ranging campaign targeting Crimea and Russian assets in and around the area. And, what was very telling was that the Wall Street Journal mentioned that Crimea was the new focus, it was the new focal point of the war, and that's where Ukraine would be targeting. And I mean, I think that if there hadn't been this massive retaliation by Moscow starting on Monday, we might have seen more elements of that proposal, become very, very, very real.
The US has published its new national security strategy, identifying its key threats and the future of its military development. According to the document, Washington will be turning its eyes now to the Indo-Pacific.
We have entered a consequential new period of American foreign policy that will demand more of the United States in the Indo-Pacific than has been asked of us since the Second World War. No region will be of more significance to the world and to everyday Americans than the Indo-Pacific.
Well, placing the Indo-Pacific region in the U.S. map of interest is justified in the document as the world's great need for, quote, American leadership. That leadership includes outcompeting China and constraining Russia, which are named as Washington's rivals. China is accused of wanting to reshape the international world order, while Russia is labeled a threat to international peace. We spoke earlier to former U.S. Marine Corps intelligence officer Scott Ritter. He believes Washington is the one breaking its international obligations. Have a listen.
When you have a U.S. admiral bragging that the United States would be able to defeat any blockade China might put around Taiwan, when you have a U.S. Air Force general bragging about how the United States would destroy Chinese logistics systems and lines of communication if there was ever aggression against Taiwan, when you have U.S. officials visiting Taiwan as if Taiwan was an independent state, when you have the United States providing Taiwan with billions of dollars of modern weaponry, well beyond that which is needed for legitimate defense purposes, then it becomes clear that the one China policy is in name only, that the United States is openly advocating for 2 Chinas, the Communist Party dominated mainland China and the pro-American government that exists in Taiwan.
All right, that'll just about wrap it up for now from this studio on RT International. Appreciate you joining us here. From me, Rory Souchet, and the entire news team at RT in Moscow, thank you for your company. We are back soon.